How do I know if I'm a good or a bad person? What are some steps to take in order to become better than the person I was in the past? So now you have two problems. One is, well, how can you be a better person? But the other problem is, well, how do you treat yourself as the good person you already are? You said you have trouble with that. So the other question might be, how do I treat myself? How do I reward myself for being good? Or how do I value the fact that I am good at least some of the time? Okay, you struggle with knowing whether you're a good or a bad person. Well, you're probably good and a bad person, right? Just like everybody else. And so the first thing to understand is that that's part and parcel of being human, that we're insufficient embodiments of our own ideals. And that's always the case. And even if we do progress, our ideal becomes more sophisticated. And so we still exist in a relationship of judgment with our ideal. And to some degree, that's permanent. It's just part of the condition of being human. It's useful for you to reward yourself for being good on those occasions that you were good. And so that'll also help you accept yourself more completely as a good person to the degree that you are. So, when you do something good, you might try to make it a habit of noting that, maybe telling someone about it, or at least telling yourself about it, and maybe rewarding yourself in some way for it, at least by the recognition. And that then you'll come to accept yourself as a good person more easily, right? And you imagine if you had a child around you and you were trying to reward them for being a good person and also encourage them to be good, you would notice when they've done something good and tell them, and make a bit of an issue out of it. And being specific about it really helps. I noticed that when you cut up that apple, you gave a little more than half to your sister, and you didn't have to do that. That shows you're paying attention, and that's very powerful. And you can do that with yourself too. You notice when you did what you were supposed to do that day, or when you did something kind for someone else, or when you did something creative that worked out, or at least when you attempted to do that, or when you managed to control a very tempting bad habit. It's very hard to learn to reward yourself properly for proper action, but it's very much worth doing, and it will spill into your relationships with other people. And so you treat yourself like someone you're trying to do the best for. It's hard to do that because you're acutely aware of your own faults, let's say, but you don't want to dispense with your virtues. Incremental improvement that's sustained is extremely powerful from the perspective of transformation. You start with little things, and maybe little things that you want to do, and then you can proceed to harder things that you don't want to do so much, for their extrinsic or intrinsic utility, but you have to do them because they're related to something important. You need to lay out a vision of yourself as an ideal. Like, who do you want to be 5 years from now? What do you want your life to be like across the most important dimensions of your life? You need a vision of that. First of all, something to aim at, What would you like your family relationships to be like if they were ideal? What would your intimate relationship be like if it was better? What would your job be like, or your career? How might you take care of yourself mentally and physically? How do you regulate your proclivity towards harmful temptations? How do you make intelligent use of the time that you have for yourself? How do you continually educate yourself? How do you illuminate yourself philosophically and spiritually? You need a vision for that and a plan. And then you have to decompose that into steps that'll lead you in that direction. And that's how you incrementally move towards being a better person. And maybe as you do that, you have to revise your ideal version of yourself because of something you learned, but that's okay. That's part and parcel of the process. So because you're not going to specify the ideal with 100% accuracy the first time you specify it.